This happened when I was in middle school. During that time, along with my friend Kate and our friend Matt, they all struggled with math. We had to stay after school in the tutor group in the school's computer lab. Most of the time, the teachers would just get bored and uninterested in helping us. They would just stare at their phones all the time, unless we asked for help, which we almost never did. Matt and I would use this time to annoy each other. Matt was always annoying, and Kate and I found it fun to irritate him. One day, Matt and I were bored, and we decided to type random things into the search bar on the computer. I don't remember exactly what we typed, but something related to our homework, and as soon as we did, some strange images came up. I didn't think much of it because I knew that there were weird people who would upload weird photos. But for whatever reason, these images made it to the internet. However, stranger images kept coming, creepy black and white. Clearly, old photos would come up, showing a deformed person in an almost mugshot photo. Another day, Matt was saving his homework into the school's computer system. He somehow entered them, then got into the files where the documents were previously saved. He figured that the person before him hadn't logged out, or that he somehow stumbled upon the files of previous teachers or students who had used this computer. When he opened the files to save, some images popped up that weren't his. Matt said to me, "Check this out. There's some creepy pictures here." I asked what the picture was, and Matt described it as this: there's a picture of a kid. He's sitting in a chair in a classroom, but he's tied up in the chair. It's only him in the room, and the room is dark. I remember that Matt had tried to show me the picture, but he'd only get a small image. What I remember was a kid wearing a red shirt, sitting in a chair, tied up in a strangely lit room. As Matt had described it, the kid was alone in the picture. His chair was the only chair in the classroom, nothing else. I still wonder who the photographer was. What made the whole situation scarier was that this was saved in the school's files, and that the picture of the kid in the chair had clearly been taken in one of the classrooms at our school. Now that I think about it, I can't believe how easily we could have reached the deep web on our school's computer if we wanted to. We had stumbled upon creepy things and weird images by accident, so I can only imagine what we would have found if we tried. We never found out who that kid was in the picture, but I find it very terrifying that someone would share these, let alone save them into the school's documents. I will admit, first off, that I've heard a lot of these deep web dark web stories and have always thought they were nonsense. However, a close friend of mine swore that she'd been to this place and seen some really messed up things. Some she would talk about out, others she refused. She said some of the things she had seen would haunt her for the rest of her life. I should have just let it go at that. I wanted to believe that she was making it all up and that there was no such place. But I was the one who was wrong. I downloaded the Tor browser and found the hidden wiki. I had been warned about some of the other links and how they can trick you into some really crazy and horrible things. I clicked a few, and they were mostly adult meetups, escort requests, and drug deals. Needless to say, I was really starting to think that I was right and that the deep web was just an easy way to make shady deals that couldn't be traced. It was lame, tame, and a little bit boring. I looked around for something remotely interesting until I found a link called The Night Watchman. It seemed like it could be interesting. I was thinking it might be some guy telling creepy stories or walking around a sleepy town at night, something like that. When I clicked it, I was greeted by a flat black page with 3 videos blown up to cover the space. Sitting side by side in a line, they were paused, and on each one of them was a picture of different people. The first one had a family of 4 mom, dad, and 2 little girls. The second was a couple with a female being very obviously pregnant. The third was just one woman and her dog, a cute black lab with a white streak over his left eye. Before I could study them for too long, a voice came through. It was male, but slightly distorted, so I couldn't really tell what he actually sounded like. Here's what he said: "Good evening. Tonight, the Night Watchmen have brought you 3 unique households. Each of them lives very different lives, believes different things, and has different future plans." He stopped here and cleared his throat for the next part. It sounded like he was smiling. "Watch each video and then choose one. I really didn't understand the point of this task, but honestly, my interest was piqued. I was curious about where this was going. I clicked the first video. There wasn't much to it. It showed the family in their home, skipping through moments of them watching TV, playing in the backyard, having supper. Then the parents put the kids to bed. They cut off there. I was starting to feel like a weird creep. I was seeing a part of people's lives that was meant only for them. I reluctantly clicked the next video. I was transported into the home of the young couple getting ready to start a family. I skipped through to them in the baby's room, hugging and generally looking excited. They ate salads at the kitchen table, went through their mail, looked through the baby books and magazines, and watched a show on TV, then went to bed snuggling up together. This one was sweet, and I couldn't help but smile at what I'd seen. However, I was still a voyeur in their personal moments, and I felt really dirty. I had gone through the others, and I figured it was only right to watch the last one. This one was of a single woman living with her dog. She was a bit of a slob. She had dishes piled up, laundry on the love seat in the living room, and there was trash overflowing from her garbage can. The other two had been pretty tidy. The family had some toys and laundry lying around. The couple had a very clean house. Anyway, the woman seemed lonely. She watched a lot of TV, ate a half-gallon of ice cream, and checked her phone every few minutes, probably hoping for a call or text. She played fetch with her dog, fed him, and then went to bed, taking her phone with her. I waited to see what was next. The videos reset and went back to the stills of each one. The voice came back over and said, "Now that you have seen, which one will you choose?" I sat there and watched, praying that someone else was watching too, and would choose. But nothing happened for a few minutes. The videos disappeared and another 3 videos began playing simultaneously. These turned my stomach. They were 3 tall men. At least I assumed they were men, based on what character I could catch. They each wore the same clothing: black shirt, black pants, and boots with a long black trench coat that dangled around their ankles. To top it off, each one wore a large, wide-brimmed hat. Have you decided? Which one will you choose? The voice chimed in over the obviously live feed. Death comes on swift wings for our ill-fated friends. You must choose one. This is how the game goes. I was horrified. Was I really supposed to choose who died here and who survived? It was ridiculous, and I went to close the page down calmly. The voice began again. "Before you close us down, you should know that if you do not choose one of the 3 shown here, your family will be next." I was startled by this declaration, but I figured he was just trying to scare me. He was doing a really good job, to be honest. "Anna," he said, and my heart skipped a beat. He said my name. After that, I was officially terrified, and I just wanted this game to stop. "Anna dear, sweet Anna, I know it's a difficult choice, but it must be made. Please direct the night watchmen to their chore." The original videos came back up, and I knew that meant it was time for me to pick someone to die. Maybe it was just a horrible joke that some hacker and his friends like to play on unsuspecting deep web surfers. I thought to myself. It was more to make me feel better than anything else. Even though my heart was still pounding, I looked at the people again. There was a family with their children. I couldn't choose them. Then there was the couple expecting a child. And I couldn't do that either. Choose. The normally calm voice barked at me. Choose now. I jumped and looked at the last one. It was the lonely woman with the dog. For a companion, she had the least to lose. She was alone, without kids or a husband. It wasn't okay, but I quickly clicked her video. Very well. So it shall be. The voice was calm and smooth. Once again, the videos of the night watchman came back. The night watchman, the choice has been made. You may attend to your work. I watched in horror as 2 of the watchmen began walking towards the houses in front of them, and the 3rd one walked away from the house. I was confused. I chose the lonely woman, but her watchman was walking away. He disappeared into the night and the feed cut off. The other two videos grew larger and took up the rest of the screen. "What's going on? What's going on?" was all I could say. It showed the two remaining watchmen each effortlessly broke into the houses. I was biting my bottom lip so hard that it bled. The feeds walked along with them as each of them silently roamed through the houses. One watchman walked into the set-up baby room and looked around gingerly. Then he made his way across the hall to the other bedroom. The other watchman walked slowly down the hall, seemingly trying to decide which room to enter. He chose the children's room. I looked over to the first one. He stood at the foot of the sleeping couple's bed, holding a huge machete. He walked to the side and began swinging wildly. There were screams so loud and frightened that I felt like I might pass out or throw up. I looked over to the other video reluctantly. The watchman stood in the children's room, right in the center of the pink bunk bed. He also brandished a machete. I screamed as he raised it up and reached over. Then I pulled my computer plug out of the wall. I was terrified and traumatized. What had I just witnessed? What had I just done? My mouth felt dry. My head was spinning out of control. My heart felt like it might burst out of my chest. After several hours, I decided to check my computer and hope that the nightmare I had witnessed was gone. There was nothing. Days later, I was checking my email when I stopped and recoiled in horror. There was an email from the night watchman. I finally opened it. I really don't know why. Maybe I was hoping that it would tell me that I'd been punked or something. Instead, it was just a few large words on an otherwise white background. "Jenna thanked you for excluding her from the night watchman's fate. We thank you for your choices too. We truly enjoyed our encounter with you. Come play again anytime." Attached was a picture of the lonely woman walking her dog in the park, still looking down at her phone. I will never, ever access the deep web again. When I was in high school, I was really into computer hacking. Nothing illegal, as far as I knew. That was until one day when I was reading an online forum. I came across a post about how to access the dark web. I honestly didn't know what it was at the time, so I naively followed the instructions and downloaded the Tor browser. I browsed around for a while. To be honest, I never really had much interest in anything like that. I was just there messing around, because I was curious. After about half an hour, my screen was flooded with hundreds of pop-up windows claiming that I downloaded a virus that scared me enough to call an end to this little experiment, and I headed back to the safety of the regular internet. I closed the Tor browser and deleted it, along with all traces of the dark web. That's what I thought, anyway. Later that night, I noticed that the light on my webcam was on. It was a very small white light, and it was easy to miss. I had no idea how long it had been on by that time, but my guess would be that it had something to do with my dark web adventure. I put a piece of tape over it at first, then tried everything to get it to turn off. I went into my computer's settings and tried to disable it, but that didn't work. Finally, I decided to do a full reset on my computer, which would wipe my hard drive clean and restore it to factory settings. After I did that, the light turned off, and I thought I'd solved the problem. A few days later, I got a text message from an unknown number, and it had several pictures of me sitting in front of my computer taken from my laptop's camera. I was incredibly creeped out, but what was even more scary was that I could tell that one of them was taken after I'd done the reset on my computer. It was a picture of me after I'd gotten a haircut the day after I did the reset. So that meant that these creeps still had access to my camera. I put another piece of tape over the camera while I tried to think of what to do if they had access to it. Then they must have access to my microphone as well. And does that mean that they can see my passwords and steal my identity? I had no idea how far this could go. I thought about it for a few hours. Then I decided the only option was to destroy my computer. I got a tall glass of water and poured it all over my laptop. Then I left. When I returned, my computer was completely dead. I told my parents that it was an accident and they chipped in to help me buy a new one. At this point, I was sure the problem was solved for good. Nothing happened for about 6 months. But eventually I got another text message from another unknown number, and it was a new set of pictures of me. I was sitting in front of my new computer this time. Some of them were taken as recently as that week. I have no idea how these hackers managed to get into my new computer because I never even accessed the dark web on it. I mouth ideas and I don't know if I'll ever be free from those creeps again.